chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Ben Sills.
Hello and welcome to this latest Gull'S review. I'm joined by Dom, Clive and Chris, and we're going to be discussing the Welling win on Saturday and a few other bits. Dom, nice to have you back on here. Obviously doing all the editorial stuff, and nice to have you back on the video stuff as well. Nice
have you missed me?
Yes, I have, of course.
Who? Sorry. Oh,
Dom, remember him? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We'll start with you, actually, Dom. We'll talk about Welling. Let's go for like the first. We'll start in the first 5 minutes, actually, first 5-10 minutes. A lot happened, really, didn't it? I'm sure we've all got opinions. Chris, I'm sure you've got Ref Watch ready for us as well, and Clive. But he had a good game after that. But it was just it was an interesting few minutes. Dom, what was your take on it?
I've rewatched the highlights. Was it? It was a clever ball over the top, wasn't it? And Young run onto it. He got there first. People were saying it's a red card. I don't know. I think he's going away from goal a little bit for me. He's going away from goal. I don't think the referee's going to make a call like that in the first 2 minutes. So I could put up with that. Yeah, I just didn't think it was a red card. There's a lot of shouts. But 2 minutes later, Jenkins Davis on the left-hand wing, barely a foul on him, and they gave it. And then, well, that was a beautiful cross by Young that he put in, wasn't it? Swung just exactly where Dyer wanted to attack it, and he could barely miss, could he? So that was lovely. And if the guy had been sent off earlier, who knows, really? The other team goes down to 10 men, defends their lives, and it can be a crap game, can't it? So, so I didn't mind that too much. And yeah, that goal set us up, didn't it?
It's interesting. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think it's one of those where if that's in the 60th minute, it's a foul. But because they don't get, so again, talking about refereeing and debating these things with my sister, one of the things she says, it's like this, a foul's a foul on the halfway line or in the penalty box. And she always says, well, the reality is the tolerance level in the penalty box has to be much different because obviously you know what you're giving if you give it the penalty box. So, yeah, I mean, it was a foul, wasn't it? I mean, having seen it again, it felt at the time like it was a foul. It's one of those where it's a foul.
Did you? You didn't think it was
no, I mean, I think if it's a foul, there's a pretty serious debate to have about cynical, it. But I think equally,
it's cynical.
Well,
it looks cynical again, to me.
That it's ones like that are frustrating me a little bit because that denial of a goal scoring opportunity was brought in to stop people kicking people when they're through on goal. It wasn't brought in for that. So if it was, it was. It wasn't, it wasn't. I don't think. And he then gave us a nonsense free kick.
I'm looking at the angle.
Yeah, that was never a free kick. Our goal was never a free kick.
Nonsense free kick.
Never a free kick.
And then we scored. So
yeah. And if he'd given the first one, he might not have given the second one. So that's the way it often works out, isn't it? So,
yeah. How often do you see someone sent off after 75 seconds? Never, do you? Pretty much.
That's it. But then we went 1-0 up. We pretty much bossed the first half, didn't we? I mean, we were in their half pretty much the whole time. All they could do is swing the ball down the channels and hope for the best. And they looked very limited. And we had a few chances, didn't we? There was one notable one that Young had the ball, in a great position and decided to shoot rather than pass, didn't we? Which drove us mad in Bristow's. I mean, he played really well, Youngie, but that was a chance to give us 2-0. Put the game to bed at that stage because Welling were just hanging on at that stage, weren't they?
First half was all just about decision making, wasn't it? In the front third, just get a bit of, it's something I've said a lot in the home games actually. Just a bit of quality in the front third. I thought we had them, we had it over them in the attacking areas. It was just the final ball or the final cross or the final decision that just lacked a little bit. Because if Young had just rolled it across, was cooking like it was Hayfield. We would have just walked it in. So it's just getting that right decision right at the right time. But equally, as my dad and I then discussed, well, that's why they're playing in the sixth tier, isn't it?
I agree. And this is the thing, like with Jordan Young, all the play came from him. Some of his decision making, especially in the first half, was pretty terrible. But it all came from him. Clive, would you say, for me, it was one of the best first half performances where we've really taken it to an opposition in terms of this. Usually, I felt like we were better in the first half than we were the second half, actually. Yeah, I thought we did a lot of things right, apart from maybe just finish the game off in the first half.
I don't know, really. No, I didn't feel that. I wasn't on the edge of my seat at all. It was brilliant to score such an early goal, but
it was controlled.
We had the better of the game, but it wasn't sort of feeling 4 or 5 nearly, it was a bit of a. I thought it was a bit so-so, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought few play as well as Young. I thought Threlkel, I know it's been picked up, quite a few Torquay fans have said it. That was for me the best. He is, don't forget, this was a player that played once in 2 years. I feel like he has really found the faith in this body and found that consistency, and he was so crucial in that midfield. He is a player that has really now got to be the standard that I'm sure he wanted to be and was striving to be. And very important in that. I thought the central midfield was excellent on Saturday.
He was good. He was first to things, wasn't he?
He won a lot of headers, didn't he?
Yeah,
he gets in the right position.
Bit of aggression there. Yeah, he did. He did a very good job. Yeah, fair play. It's what It's what we thought we were getting when we signed him.
It is, and we had there was quite a bit of a debate going on our Talky Talk WhatsApp group after the Truro game, wasn't there? Because I thought he was very good in that game. If you look at the highlights, I'll remember back there were 2 or 3 situations in the last 10 minutes where it was his head in the 6-yard box. It was him who got a toe in. So it's that kind of it's that kind of break it up, play the ball to people with a bit more attacking flair role, isn't it? But yeah, he's brave. He puts his head in there, and I agreed with a lot of people I've seen on social media. I think it was his best game for us in terms of that role shielding the back four.
He's not a showy player. I mean, if you're expecting somebody to be the new Alex Russell and or do all the things that, fancy stuff, he's not going to be that man, I don't think. So, but if I think you want somebody who's going to get in the right positions, defend, keep
when we're like second favourites, or when we're playing, you'd like to think a level above next season maybe, or something like that. I feel like he would be a crucial player in that team. I think part of his problem at times has been we have a lot of the ball and we need to do something with it, where sometimes those players who break the play up, even though he's a very tidy footballer, of course, and he's played at such a higher level than we currently are, but I think now it's been we've found the balance in that midfield, and I think that's why his roles come through. I think Hayfield's come on so much as well. So yeah, I think we're a balanced team now as well, which is also helping his performance, I like to think. Anything else in the first half we want to talk about at all?
No, it was a failure to make it 2-0, wasn't it? That was the main thing. You go into half time thinking, well, we're okay here, and then of course they got a lot better the second half, and we
didn't start. Yeah, did we?
We didn't come out at all. We didn't come out at all.
I'm sure we'll lead into Dean Moxey in a minute, but actually, I thought he had a good first half.
I thought his first. I'm sorry someone said that, Clive, because I thought his first half was so good, and he was integral. He read the game so well, and he's put so many crucial balls down the line, wasn't he? Perfectly weighted, which Jenkins, Davies, and Young were getting. I'm glad you brought it up, because that's one of my points meant to make.
I think the only thing I could call is that Morgan wasn't getting the overlap, was he? Morgan really wasn't involved, and Moxey wasn't getting up quick enough, because he wouldn't do, would he? And Morgan was quite quiet considering, so that's not Dino's fault. But he hasn't barely played for months on end, does he? So he did as well as he could.
He did look to me as though he'd felt something as well. He was just having a little stretch halfway through the first half, and I think that might
right ankle, wasn't it?
That might come out. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It must be hard, when you're the age that the fella is, and you're getting called in to play just once in a blue moon, really. It must be difficult.
You can see the frustration. So we talk about the goal, and I felt really bad for him, sort of the frustration when he was coming off, because he clearly had pulled something, hadn't he? But yeah, so let's talk us through that first 10 minutes. From the commentary box, I was really happy at half time. And then,
there it is. It took a while, but there it is.
It did.
From the commentary box.
From the commentary box. I was really happy. Me and Paul.
Unfortunately, they've put the Plymouth Argyle game on sounds, haven't they, Sam? So
yeah, I know. Because
we've not been able to hear your dulcet tones. We're gutted.
There's some gems, honestly, which I was going to talk about later in the just before the second goal. There's a few gems that got to miss. There's also like when Young, who I've been praising, and then when he didn't cut it back, I went silent for a while. As I said, I had to sit down. I was so cross, honestly, and in shock. I was literally, I had to, dysregulate for a bit, because I was saying, square it, and then I just sat down and I just slumped. I couldn't do it. I was silent for like 30 seconds. But yeah, into the second half, I was disappointed. I know when it improved a bit, but I just felt that we got a little bit. We couldn't get a ball.
We couldn't get a grip of it, could we? Couldn't get a grip of it at all. I think they pushed their fullbacks up more. Corey Johnson, our left-hand side, he was much further up than he had been first half, and they were just attacking. They'd come out to have a go second half, and we just didn't look ready to.
No, it's
It's a similar thing against Weymouth, I think, on Boxing Day. We
sure a little bit as well in the first 10 minutes.
yeah, well in charge, and we just looked a bit complacent coming out after half time. Like we'll just pick the ball, we'll just take charge again. And football doesn't always work like that. You've got to keep being aggressive and keep doing what you're doing.
I think it's a good point, and actually, I think it's something that you would say about this team overall, in that we know how solid we are, how well they're set up. The structure is to be solid and be hard to break down and not concede goals, which is great. No problem with that. But we don't have a front foot mentality. There aren't games where we come out at the start of games and batter teams in the first 10, 15 minutes. And again, start the second half. If that was me, I'd have been saying, right, okay, we've got to up our quality. We've got to get some better quality into the front third. Because if we get a second goal here, this could be 3 or 4. But it's very much kind of like, and again, I'm just surmising. I don't know from what I saw, but it feels a bit like it's just right. Let's just sit. Let's not do anything silly. Let's hold in. Let's hold our position, hold our structure, hold our formation. Let's not give anything away, and then we can build on it. And then, of course, but fair play to them. They worked hard. They harassed us. They kind of targeted Moxie a bit, didn't they, in that first 10 minutes? And it brought them a goal, didn't it? And then you've got to win the game all over again, haven't you? It was well worked.
Goal.
Yeah, it was.
It was a very smart ball down the wing. It was a lovely cross, and he couldn't miss. So at that point, I was just buying a pasty from the stand. So
I saw you walk down just before then, Don. I saw you go.
Yeah. Overpriced, but I was starving. And then they scored
Did
as
you miss
well.
the goal?
Yeah, it wasn't the best minute of the game, that. I know I did see the goal close up with my pasty in my pocket.
What was the pasty like?
It was all right.
Yeah.
So
red sauce or brown sauce or
that's a good point.
Sauce at all?
I didn't get any sauce. No.
No sauce.
I was putting it in my pocket, so I didn't want my pocket to have sauce.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, good point.
To be fair, I thought Welling did come out, and you've got to give them credit. And
they did play well.
Teams are entitled to have a good 15 minutes in the game, aren't they? And they did come out, and they played very well. They surprised me a little bit, but yeah, fair play to them. They were worth their equaliser, because it wasn't the only chance they had, was it, during that spell? Yeah. Hammond made another good save from one. It turned out to be offside, but it was a sharp save, that, and then I think just before that, he had to tip one over the bar as well. So it was certainly in the balance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I agree. It was a big moment in Torquay's season, actually. I know it's cliche to say that, but it was right. Okay, if we're serious about that, we need to find the winner. We need to find to up it. I've seen that game quite a lot, actually. When it's 1-1, it's can we find that second phase? And a lot of Torquay teams, we say this every week. If 1-1 draw have been frustrating, but it was such a crucial goal. Now, we spoke quite a lot about corners and short corners, and how I was annoyed that we hadn't waited on a few corners and got the crowd up and all that. And we looked half decent from the corners before. Now, it's a good job that you can't replay my commentary, because when we had a corner, and
we can try.
You can try and find it somewhere, and we took it quickly before our centre backs had got into the box, so you could just hear me go, "I'm fuming. I am fuming," because then it looked like the moment had gone, and then about 40 seconds later, Jordan Young with his quality, it's an incredible ball, and Dyer's done everything right, put it back to where it come from. Keeper's going this way. It was beautiful. It was absolutely brilliant stuff. That's such an instinctive finish again by Dyer. He is such a good player. We talk about Sam Drea obviously a lot, a bit younger and all sort of stuff like that. But Jordan Dyer, he's a bit older, so he's also got that kind of experienced senior pro side of him, where Drea is still just getting that sort of thing. Again, that sort of adult side of it. He's got the ability, but it's almost like you go from a young player to a fully grown footballing adult. And obviously Dyer is along that path, isn't he? If that makes sense. So
I think he's been brilliant recently, Dyer. Yeah, he's been our best player in recent weeks. I think he puts in.
He is a player of the season candidate, definitely so far. Jordan Dyer for me, he is absolutely brilliant.
And I thought Watton's comments after the game were absolutely spot on in terms of, if you look back at both of the goals, he just attacks the ball. I'm not convinced he got the last touch for the second goal. At the time, it felt like it slipped up off. Corey Johnson went in, but he can have it because his touch was probably on target. But again, it's like I said, that second goal, again, Young can be a bit frustrating, and I find he's kind of, he has quite lethargic body language at times. But the reality is his 2 bits of quality, that delivery for that first goal, you can't defend it. They're both in the second goal, the cross from open play. It's that corner in between the goalkeeper and the defence, where the goalkeeper can't come for it. The defender thinks, "Oh no, what am I going to do with this?" He's facing his own goal, and I mean, both of those balls are impossible to defend. Would you say, pretty much? And Dyer attacked it well, didn't he? Again, and got in there, and fair play to him for getting his head on it.
He did.
What I like about Jordan, he gets in between the lines, doesn't he? And finds that little bits of space where you can exploit, and that's tough to defend this level.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's brilliant, because I've always said, I think we were saying it more September, October. I want a couple more players. We're like, right, we've got the solid players. Now you just have a couple players, and they sort of stick near the top and just go win me the game. And that's what we've got with like Jordan Young. He's just so incredible. Go on, Clive.
It's a slightly flippant comment, really, but I just wondered if Jordan Dyer is the yellow messiah. I mean, that was fantastic, wasn't it? Couple of good goals, good goals. But actually, defensive rock all season.
It is. Yeah.
I do sometimes struggle to remember what Paul Watton said on a Thursday. What's on the record and what's off. But certainly at some point last Thursday, he was...
Stop now, Clive. Stop now.
He was very much praising Jordan Dyer and pointing out, exactly like you said, Sam, that he is a proper man physically now, whereas his partner is an extremely good player who's still filling out. So between those two lads, Dyer and Dreyer, we've got a brilliant combination.
He's deceptively strong, I think, Dyer, because he doesn't look like the sort of guy who's going to push about strikers, but when he goes in for a challenge and a header, he really makes it count. It's surprising. He's
I think Dreyer is fantastic for me, the way he reads the game. The only advice I say, not saying he's doing this, but I always think when I think young centre backs, I think, remember Robbie Cundy? It's like a warning sometimes.
God, he was awful.
This is the thing, though, right? This is the thing. He came in and he was fantastic for 3 or 4 weeks on loan from Bristol City. He then played terribly for a month or two. Terribly. And I said at the time, it kind of was like, when Championship players, League One players, they read the game. They make it look effortless because they read the game. Sometimes these players who have played at a high level, whatever, they come down and they think they can act like that, but they don't read the game well enough. So they look a bit casual and then they lose their man. And I felt Robbie Cundy was doing that. So I think with young centre-backs, and like Dre's case, my advice is always to, it's good he looks cool and calm, but sometimes just there is that danger they can slip into that kind of sort of thing. And that's where it's been really good, where they go from being like really good centre-backs to making these sort of mistakes and not reading it. So you're still developing all the time. Does that make sense? And now Robbie Cundy, he's had that shocker of a spell in the last couple of months, and he's still in a Football League now, isn't he? I think he went on and did really well. So that's
Notts County.
Yeah, he's had a really good career.
Before that, he was at Barnsley, and Notts snapped him up, presumably to replace Cameron.
Cameron.
That is my.
And I think he's out injured for the rest of the season, I think, as well.
He's only played 5 games this year so far.
That is my advice to like players like Dre. It's like doing everything brilliantly, but sometimes you just keep that sort of consistency. That's what I'm saying. I've seen players start really well, and I think he's going to go up the leagues, and then kind of that they haven't transitioned quite into that sort of footballing adult. So there's still a long way to go with Dre. That's why when everyone goes, he's going to Football League, which I've been saying, you still need a couple of years to really sort of transition to that before you'll get found out at like League 2 level. But like, I guess.
So basically, don't leave us too soon.
Yeah, don't leave us too soon is what I'm saying. Yeah. Keep with us.
If you're watching this, Sam Swan will guide the rest of your career.
Your
dad's your agent. You might want to bin him off because Swanee will see you into the England team. No question.
No question.
He gives me that Mark Ellis vibes to me, Sam Dre. Similar kind of personality, I think. Yeah, took him a few years to get going, didn't it? So.
I thought that Watton made a couple of interesting comments about Jordan Young in that press conference that you won't remember, Clive, from last week, about when he said he described him as being brave in dangerous areas, which I thought, what does he mean by that? But actually, if you think about it, he's quite happy to have the ball in our own half and drift, and people kind of he's one of these players who just kind of drifts, doesn't he? And kind of people don't feel they can kind of get near him somehow. So I thought that was interesting. And he described him as having a lot of heavy minutes recently. And I thought, what does that mean? But actually, he's talking about, he's playing 80 odd minutes on heavy pitches. And actually, he's not played this intensity of kind of regular football quite like he has since he joined us, I don't think. So, but again, he's almost one of those players where it's almost a bit like you thought Musa might be at the start of the season, of that they may flash in and out of games, but then bang, there's a bit of quality and it wins you the game, which, Musa's, and I still think we'll see from Musa at times, but we've only seen kind of fleetingly from Moose in a way that Young's been a bit more consistent.
That takes us on nicely to the substitutions and the difference they made in the second half, I'd say.
Go for it, Dom. Take us in.
Just Omar Musa came on and Matt Carson came on for Moxie. We needed a bit of energy on the left-hand side at that stage and a bit of composure in the final third. And Omar Musa made a difference. He's done that a couple of times recently. Where he just comes on, says, "Give me the ball, I'll move it around, no panic," and just makes a difference like that. He's not scoring the goals we'd hoped. Probably not getting the assists, but he does give you something, doesn't he, when he comes on?
I think it's the second home game in a row where he's made a difference.
That just helped us gain possession, territorial advantage. And we just turned it on at that point. I thought, right, I think we might just win this game now.
Do we think he's the sort of player that might be better as a sub? Because if you think you've played 70 minutes, you've had Young buzzing around and you've had Morgan buzzing around and you've been wrestling with Cook, fouling in the main, but don't start me on that. And then you see him coming on. You must think, oh, bloody hell, mustn't you? Is he the sort of player who has a bigger impact off the bench than from starting, perhaps?
Yeah,
unfortunately, really, it has been that way. I like to be, it has been that way. I mean, I like to see him do that when he starts games, but he is a great player. He is just a great player. I think he's a really good player at this level, but it's just getting him in the right sort of right wavelength at times. And now we're getting the Youngs in the team. I do feel like he is getting there. But the nice thing about this squad, there is options now. Like Dylan Morgan, what have we made of him so far? Like, I think he's a really, really good player, but it's just been a case he shows glimpses of it, hasn't he? But we haven't quite had a chance yet. Was he a bit too eager to impress, or is it? What do you reckon?
This might sound a bit weird, but I feel as though I had my first proper look at him on Saturday. I hadn't paid all that much attention, but he was up on the Bristow side down the left, wasn't he, in the first half? And he really has got the beating of a fullback. He's got a trick, as Joe said on another forum. He's got one of these low centres of gravity, so he can go past people easily. He looks more of a winger, I think, than Youngie, really. Yes, I like him. I would be starting with him, and that probably does mean the Moose is on the bench. The great thing is, if you're winning, I imagine players aren't going to be so fed up about not getting a start. If you're in a winning team and you're contributing in a way to that, it's all good. And I think actually for me, Matt Carson at the moment is much more valuable coming off the bench for us. I hope to goodness that we get Fulston back soon, because he's a good solid left back, and that's all I want from that at the moment, because we've got those players further forward who can do the exciting stuff. But Carson coming on, he is dynamic. He has got a very good cross on him as well. So I think, probably the starting lineup's about right for me.
He's better in attack, isn't he, Carson? He's a wing back who's better in the other, half. That's the trouble. He's not defensively very clever, I don't think. He's going to get beaten on headers. He will try his best, but you fancy exploiting him. Whereas if it's Fulston playing at left back, you don't fancy taking him on defensively. So that's a good shout, to be fair.
You've just touched on something that I've got a bit of a thing about. It's irritating me a little bit at the minute. I think Carson's getting a bit of unfair stick, personally, because you say he gets beaten and he's more vulnerable defensively. Well, show me a goal where he was culpable. Show me a goal where he's getting outpaced or positionally he was caught out. I can't think of any. So I've heard that from a few people, and he's young, and he was brilliant to start with, playing as a wing back in a 3, wasn't he? But I can't. When he's played in a 4, I struggle to think of a game where I thought, oh God, get him off.
I haven't watched.
He was quite exposed against Weymouth. Weymouth down that side an awful lot, to be honest.
But I thought the fault was the right hand side on those 2 goals.
Yeah, we kept getting sucked over, didn't we, at Weymouth?
But they kept going down both wings. That was
I thought it was how we got sucked over as a problem, to be fair.
Yeah, I just think it's just a thought. I've heard that a lot.
He should be a scapegoat, Chris. I think you're right there, but he's just not as good defensively as Jay Fulston. You can feel.
I think that's true. Yeah, that's true. But equally, he's not the sort of player where you're picking and thinking, oh crikey, Carson's got to play, like it was at times last season with certain people. Basically, last season, if Moxie wasn't in the team, you thought, oh God, here we go. I thought it was an interesting decision to play Moxie, though. I wonder if there was a reason for that.
I thought it was right.
The way they play.
I probably proved to be incorrect, but I thought it was right because one of the things I do remember Paul saying last week was he likes a steady Eddie left back. He's that's what he likes.
I like full-backs,
So,
not wing-backs.
if you've got, well, if you're playing a 4, that's what
you've got
ideally,
wingers.
that's what you want.
Yeah.
First job is to defend. Dean knows how to defend. He's also got, it's not a wand, is it? But it's a very, very good left foot, and he's got a long throw. He brought a lot to that team. Unfortunately, what he hasn't got probably is 90 minutes, isn't it? And that's the problem. But I think that's why he picked him. I think he just wanted to plug him in there to replace Jay Fulston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you're going to keep Dino for a season, I guess you want to use him just occasionally if the need comes. He's got
I would throw more at centre back now, because if he gets targeted for pace, then we're in a bit of trouble. But I thought in the first, I won't lie to you, I thought he played like someone who's 29 in the first half. I thought the way he was like reading it, he didn't lose anything. The way he was putting balls down, it was so class. It was so class. But then you could say we didn't really get tested much defensively, but he broke up that initial transition very well.
And happy birthday to him, because it was his birthday yesterday, day before.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and
wow.
I have to say, it's only one other thing on that game on Saturday. It's one of the funniest things I've seen in hindsight. If you watch me, I noticed at the time because it was on the side where I was sat. When for the third goal, when the guy kind of nods it back and misheads it, Musa and Cook both go for it.
Funny.
And Musa's kind of like straight away, and he's like, "Oh, he's put it in. All right, I'll let you off."
I love Musa. Really funny. I love that. I noticed that at the time.
So, come and give us a hug.
I love
when you've only scored 1 goal a season, Musa really fancied that.
It's a really good finish by Cook, that, by the way. Really good finish.
It was,
I know it looks easy and you expect your strikers to score from there, but he's done so well with that. What a player he is.
He keeps doing well for his Cookie, doesn't he? He doesn't let you down week in, week out. Good man.
I still want to create more for him, but it's brilliant. It was a good victory. We did the job, and it was crucial. We can talk every week about how we think about the rest of the season, but as we say, the key now is like how we deal with these away games, especially away games on the plastic pitches. As everyone says, I hate to say the plastic pitches because I don't want it to get in our own heads that it's a problem. But they are tough to play on, and it's just the away form against the big teams, isn't it? But I think there's enough winners. I think there's enough. So
I have to say, Swanee, I'll replay this to me, but was it today, 15th of January? But I think this next 5 games, not is it, but I think if we come out the back of these next 5 games, 4 of which are away from home, because that's 7. I've got some stats for you now to sound like Dom. 7 home wins in a row in all competitions. So, we were saying, weren't we? We were 5 wins, 5 draws. I think at one point we were saying, got to turn some more of these draws into wins, got to get some more points on the board. Well, there you go. 4 of the next 5 away. 3 of them you'd look at that on paper. St Albans on Saturday, Slough, Chippenham, with all due respect to those teams. If we're going to win the league, we've got to go to those places and get results on a cold Tuesday night in January. Then obviously the big one at Maidstone, which it looks is increasingly looking like a big game, as well as the home game with Hampton. So if you look at, we had a poll earlier in the week, didn't we? I've got it in front of me, to how many points do we think people think we're going to get, and we had 8 to 10 was the highest score. So you think we come out of that with
in January,
10 points? Yeah. So I think this could be it, because if we come out the back of this with 3 defeats, all of a sudden we could be 6th or 7th, and you're going to start looking at it thinking, oh, crikey, how about the playoffs? We come out of it with, 3 wins, 2 draws, and then you're going to be like, well, who's going to stop us? So big times ahead for me.
6th or 7th, jeez.
Well, yeah, but you could be. But it's so tight. The league's so tight. You could be. You could 3 defeats, and
for me,
you could be.
For me,
just
right,
set up.
we talk long term.
I don't think
second or third. I was win the league with amazing. That second or third home playoff, still a great achievement, especially for in the playoffs. So it's enjoy. I just loving it. I say every week, just enjoy it, Yellow Army. It's brilliant. I'm just loving it, loving every moment. So 3-1 win, nice result, job done, professional enough. Always gonna be a few things gonna be a bit frustrated about, but anything else sad? Anyone?
Top of the league, big crowd. Yep.
Yeah, brilliant, wasn't it? 3,700 again. Two quick things. One, the 50-50 draw. My God. There was nearly 4,000 quid. There was nearly 4,000 quid in the kitty, wasn't there, on Saturday? And I don't know if it's gone either.
But how can you buy a ticket and not win it and not claim it? Not once, but twice. The prize was 3,700.
I never do 50-50, but I'm joining next week.
What is with people?
Nobody claimed it.
I've got there's three possibilities. One, they're just eating the tickets. Two, they're going for a beer and they forget. Because actually, how would you know? How would you know what the winning ticket number is?
The club put it on social media now. It's on Twitter.
Well, yeah, not everybody's going to see that. The third thing might be that we're all such magnificent benefactors for the club that people just go, oh, do you know
no
what?
one cares.
Leave it in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be bothered if I'd won £4,000. I wouldn't even want to know. You know what I mean?
I reckon it's the hospitality people who buy tickets and then scrunch it up and forget about it. I think that's.
I don't know. Yeah. But it's a heartwarming thing because obviously the bigger the jackpot, the more tickets they're actually going to sell. So it's
be like the national lottery soon.
Yeah, it's
the 6,000 in the next game, wasn't it?
Whilst we're on figures, really quickly, I was asked on Saturday, are you going to talk about the away following again? Yes, I am. I met and spoke to 14% of Welling's away support on Saturday because 4 of them got outside a taxi out by the swimming pool. 4 out of 29. Fair play to the 29 who attended. That's fine.
Yeah, well done, everyone.
But honestly, they're not helping us break even. These guys, are they?
It's becoming your trademark. Like this is. It really is.
I don't know much about football, Dom. I've got to talk about something.
29.
Predictions. Right. St Albans, feisty affair at Playmore, wasn't it? Clear penalty disallowed, a lot of fractured eye sockets and that injury to Musa. Quite angry, wasn't I, after that game? That was a lot of people. Anyway, where are we going? St Albans. It's weird, isn't it? Like, with that bottom 4 in the league, because the top 7, 8 are so strong and taking so many points. Then like the top 4, bottom 4 are just completely adrift really at the moment. You always think one of them's going to go on a run, and St Albans were predicted quite high up at the start of the season. So you think one will go on a run. There's always one that gets dragged from the bottom end of mid-table, don't they? But they haven't yet. I'm going to predict 2-1 Torquay.
I think I'll go for 1-0 to Torquay.
Live.
Yeah, I'll stick with 2-1. We've only outclassed one team away from home this season, haven't we? And that was Enfield. I don't expect us to go there and boss it. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, 2-1 would be ideal.
That'd be stubborn. Chris?
Yeah, 2-0, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say going, good 3-4-0 win, but I just, in the most heartfelt way possible, I just don't see it with this team. I don't see that we're not set up to do that. Unless we can go 2-0 up in the first 10 minutes in a game and pop the bubble of the opposition very early. But yeah, I think 2-0 is the sort of result you want to go there, get the points, come home, job done.
Wins a win. And then we've got Slough as well, and then we do a final Kelly's Corner as well, read out by Chris. So it's Wadey's Corner. Slough. I'll go 1-1 in that game. I predict Torquay to win every game. I'm going to go 1-1 on it. Dom?
Plastic pitch, you say? I'll say 2-1 to Slough. Apologies, everybody. Yeah, you've missed me.
Clive.
Come friendly bombs and fall on Slough. It's not fit for humans now. Oh, come on. Let's have a 1-0 away from home. Let's do a solitary.
I'm comfortable with 2-0 away from home. I think it's another game. I said it a few weeks ago, I said it again. Can we go to somewhere like Slough on a Tuesday night on a plastic pitch in January when it's a bit cold and get the job done? Because I'm in Kelly's Corner. It's a very comfortable seat. I have to say I quite like it. I think there's some positivity from everyone on social media today to our question. Robert Dickinson says 2-0 St Albans, 2-1 at Slough, so 6 points for him. Ollie says he thinks 1 draw, 1 win to keep the form going. Remember that we would have been happy with playoffs at the start of the season. That's a good thing to remember. Actually, I think that's good to keep us all grounded, as they say nowadays. TTID, I don't know what that stands for. Hope I've not read something offensive there. Says, I hope that we'll, he says, I think we'll get a hard-fought 2-1 win at St Albans, but I have a feeling for a 1-1 draw at Slough. Off the Line blog, we like to hear from him regularly. He's been a bit more analytical, actually. He says St Albans are improving under Culverhouse, and I still maintain there's lots of ability in that squad. Harder gain than the league table may suggest.
Agree.
Well, the league table's the truth, isn't it? But anyway, I sounded like Clive then, didn't I? Slough are a good side.
They are improving.
They're still in the bottom 4 in the relegation.
But like that.
Slough are a good side. Lots of pace, which may be our kryptonite. Plus it's 3G, which I think probably is. Expect 2 tough games, and then he doesn't give us a score, but good stuff there. And then Tommy in his own corner, because he's not here, says the next few weeks will determine if we are genuine title contenders or not. The table doesn't lie. See, St Albans are one of the worst teams in the division. Crikey, he's gone heavy there, hasn't he? But are slowly improving. Slough seem to be in a tricky spell of form. He thinks a 3-2 win on Saturday and a 2-1 win on Tuesday. So there we have it. There was one answer on Facebook as well who said that 6 points incoming. So
it's going to be interesting. Nice. St Albans is interesting. I am with Joe, Offline Blog. They're just one of those teams. I mean, the table doesn't like us. You're totally right, but I don't understand how they are where they are. Really, they've baffled me all season. But
the number of points, wasn't it?
Yeah, that'll be it. Oh, yeah. So you do know about football, Clive. You shouldn't run yourself down.
Here's one. Hang on. Truro. Bloody Truro. They've sold out, haven't they?
Yeah, I heard of that.
Is that true?
Tickets.
Well, yes. People were trying to book adult tickets away yesterday.
It's already been sold out.
And the website says sold out. So, somewhere along the line, they and we, as the two clubs, need to have a think about this sort of thing and maybe learn a few lessons for next time. Sounds like it's too late now.
Because you did mention it, Clive, a few weeks ago, didn't you?
You can't be selling out.
Order it. No.
You can't be selling out tickets for a game 3 months before it's due to take place. And if the supply is very limited like that, what most clubs do, and I know we're at a very low level at the moment, but what most clubs do is have some sort of priority system. So maybe season ticket holders would get first dibs. So Truro, shame on you, really. And Torquay, if you haven't sort of stuck your oar in, please do it next time, because there's going to be a lot of disappointed people, I think.
Yeah, it's
a big game, that one, isn't it? So
yeah, I was so excited for that, and I can't even get to it now. So yeah, that was annoying. I mean, that was my own fault if it had been out, but I wasn't really. I
don't think we've heard the end of that though.
No,
that doesn't feel weird. What is it old? 3,000 that?
Yeah,
the club are pretty good, and the club of this season are pretty proactive, aren't they? Sharing their position. And I got my tickets for Saturday, and because I'm off to St Albans as well, and they share it. So if it's something as important as that, I wouldn't have thought they would have missed it or not done it or left it to Truro, or I wonder if that's like a pre-sale.
Truro have gone really early, haven't they? They put sales. As I remember. Initially, there was no segregation. You just bought a ground ticket, and then they suddenly probably realised, looking at the postcodes of people who were buying, oh flipping heck, maybe we need to limit the away tickets. Fine, but there's then no communication at all to supporters. So there's a lot of people. They're not idiots, Torquay fans, but maybe they haven't decided to buy a ticket 3 months in advance, 4 months in advance.
Do we all know if we can go? Well,
I'll be there.
Well, my plan was to be there, but does everyone who's going to buy a ticket now know that they can go to a game in 3 months' time? I don't reckon they do.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You'll be there on your Truro address, won't you, Clive?
No, I was. To be honest, I'll give you the full story. My son was down for Christmas, and he said, "You know what? We ought to get our tickets now." And I said, "Good idea." And that's what we did. But you can't be expecting people to plan that far in advance, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, he tells us that now. Bloody hell!
He told us.
He's all right. Talk about Clive's all right. He's going.
I don't know anything about football, Chris.
Swanee, can I say one more thing before we finish? Just a big shout out to say hello to the guy who was sat behind me, who tapped me on the shoulder full time to say how much he enjoys watching this, and he looks forward to it every week. So I didn't catch his name, but shout out to him and thank you. Hopefully you've made it to the end this week as well.
And shout out to the broadcasting legends who was at Torquay on Saturday. Not Richard Keys, Paul Mahone next to me. What a great commentator he is. What a brilliant guy he is. Absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. He's helping me a lot. So what a guy.
Has he got hairy hands?
No, he hasn't. No.
Oh, there you go. You see,
we nearly got all the way through without renting keys, didn't we?
There we are.
And a shout out to my sons who came up with a really cool song when they saw Swanee in the commentary box.
But it sounded more like a threat. But apart from that, it was fine. Yeah, all I had was I was sat there waiting to do the next segment. I had of Sonny's in a box, or in the box, and I'm like,
in the box.
Christ, that's like my funeral. Christ, but there we are.
I've got it saved in case.
Yeah, but if it is, please chant that. Thank you, everyone. So thank you very much, and see you in the next episode if I make it. But if not, then you know what to shout.
If not, I've got the song ready.
I'll speak to Paul. I'll do that game, mate.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. He stays onside. Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.